Hi, I'm Kalana, and today my speech will be on the death penalty. For my side of the speech, I'm going to be against the death penalty for many reasons. One being, it's inhuman. People are being locked up for things that they did that were possibly inhuman, as in murdering people. But then you're going to punish them by doing the exact same thing that got them in prison. It doesn't really make sense. Nor does it really teach people lessons, because you're doing to them what they did to innocent people. Yes, they're not innocent, but we have prisons to keep them away and to give them punishment. Killing them really isn't doing much. They're not really learning a lesson, you're just killing them. It doesn't really do anything. I mean, it might scare some people into not doing it. I mean, not really, because obviously people are still being murdered. So it doesn't really do much now, does it? Another reason is because the death penalty affects a certain group. It affects people of color, mentally ill, and poor. Those are the three big groups of people that get the death penalty. The mentally ill one, I feel like, I mean, they're all really bad, the large group of them. But the mentally ill, I feel like that's kind of not fair. Because yeah, they do something bad, but they actually, I mean, it's not an excuse, but you can get them help for it in prison. But I mean, a lot of people that are mentally ill don't really get, like, they get really bad things happening to them in prison that I found out. It's really bad. But another reason is that the death penalty can be used as a tool or for power. For example, the death penalty is supposed to be for something that's like great lethal crimes. But in other places, you could get the death penalty just from like a little robbery, which not right, but you can just go to jail or prison or something like that. A big one that really bothers me is that you can't undo an execution, the death penalty. And after the death penalty, and you find more evidence that claims that those people did not actually do the crime, it's too late. You just killed an innocent person, just as some murderers actually do. But at the end of the day, that person didn't even end up being the murderer. It's horrible. It's so horrible. And the last reason is that the death penalty really doesn't deter the crime. It doesn't do anything for it. It just kills a person that did something bad, that did literally something probably to somebody else. It doesn't really make up for it, I guess. Like, they're not really getting punished, they're just dying. It's really, I mean, it's sad. There's the long list of innocent people that were found innocent after. It's just mind-boggling. Back in December of 2020, a man named Brandon Bernard was executed, and it took a toll on a lot of people. A lot of people looked down at the government for that because they wouldn't give him and a more amount of time to actually look at everything and give them time to really change their minds about it. And it was for a crime that was done ages ago. Well, not ages ago, like 1999. Him and a group of people robbed somebody, and someone in the group shot them. And then he lit the car on fire, and one of the victims' autopsy came out with she had died from inhaling the smoke. So technically he was convicted for that murder. But he served decades of time, and he got the death penalty. But a lot of people really felt like that's not something that needed to be done, because it was something very tragic, but it happened years ago and he was young, and he barely even really did anything. He was mostly just there and then lit the car on fire. But it did obviously hurt somebody. Another person's case that kind of took me by surprise and it really messed with me is Nathaniel Woods. He was executed 2020 for something he absolutely did not do. He was found innocent after the death penalty, after his execution. What had happened was he was in the wrong place, wrong time. There were 3 cops that were shot by a completely different person. But everybody was on him about it because apparently he had a huge hatred for cops. So that might have meant that he just did it. His attorneys really weren't helping him either. They were giving him deals that weren't even... He could have had a lot better deal than that. So they really just didn't even help. They just let him go. And he got the death penalty and got executed. And then they later found that he was completely innocent. So it's just really unfortunate with all the things that go down with the death penalty and the groups of people that get it. Like the poor people. Mentally ill was a big one. Like, it's not an excuse for the things they do, but they should get the proper help for it. For themselves. Because obviously to begin with, there's something wrong with them. So, yeah. But that's my side of it. That's why I'm against it. And why it doesn't really do any good for anybody at all. They're not getting punished. They're just being killed. They're not really learning a lesson to the wrong that they did. They could have them do something like community service as they're in prison, of course. But they could do something rather than just murdering them in cold blood as they did themselves to somebody else. But that's all. Thank you for listening to my speech.